All right. Welcome, Ronnie. Company Clean Master, a force of nature,
So I've
part of
heard.
successful synergies. Welcome, dude. How you doing?
Doing good. It's a beautiful morning outside, and thank you so much for having me on here at the last minute.
Yeah, thanks for coming, man. So, I just love talking to business owners, people brave enough to dive in the deep end, cannonball into the deep end. And I'm not joking when I say you are a force of nature. Um, I've known you for a very short period of time. You came into a business group we're both in, Successful Synergies, and there's no doubt in my mind that you're a force to be reckoned with. And you are fresh from an Alex Hormozi, we'll call it business vacation or
Yes,
business
thereabouts.
marathon. I don't know. I want to get to all that Hormozi stuff because I could talk about Hormozi for a lot. I really like him. I
He's
love
great.
his content. I love, I've got one of his books. You just told me you have two of his books signed.
Mhm.
Um, it's amazing. So let's just start at Company Clean.
All right.
Why'd you do it, man? What brought you to start a cleaning business?
Well, there's multitudes of reasons, really. One of them was just like I wanted to start being more productive, right? Like I was always crushing it at work, doing really good, but I wanted something else, something that could be mine, something that I could really scale. And so I went and got my bachelor's degree. I never went to college because I have ADHD. And actually, I went to college for one day.
Okay.
And they said, open your textbooks to chapter. And I was like, dude, I just did this in high school. So I dropped out. Went
Mm-hmm.
and did IT for 20 years. Like I said, crushed it there. And then I was like, during COVID, there's not really much else to do. And then I found out about these online programs to where they're competency based. If you know the material, you can do it. So I did my bachelor's degree in 13 months. I did my master's degree in 5 months because whenever I put my mind to something, I'm going to go out there and do it. So then after that, it's like, well, got your MBA. What do you do with it? So I wanted something that was low capital, and I chose cleaning, not thinking about the commoditization aspect of it. But all that said, it's all good now. I do not worry about competition. I do not worry about commoditization much because of like Hormozi, Tommy Mello, a lot of the big players that have really taught you how to stand out, deliver good service. All that said, that's pretty much the reasons I started the business. But also, much like yourself, I do real estate, and I was putting a property on the market, and I had a terrible experience. Like the cleaners came, they didn't even tell me when they were going to show up. Right? They just said we'll be there today. They did a terrible job. Whenever I came in, I was like, I go, I guess they're still cleaning, right? Because like the house doesn't look very good. Turns out, no, they had left. And so I called the owner and I said, hey, like they need to come back and redo this. And she goes, if you wanted us to do 100%, you should have paid more. And I was like, that is terrible customer service, right? And I go, I can do that way better. So I went with house cleaning. And
Nice.
then and then lastly, I hate cleaning. I think it's a complete waste of my time as a business owner and just as a professional in general. So I wanted to offload that. And I figured why not use my own teams to help me do that so I don't have to clean my house.
I like it. When I think of a business like Company Clean, um, I think of a business that pretty much everybody needs, right? And I love your pitch, right? If you are cleaning your own house, you are losing money because you could be going out and networking or selling or building your business or adding a system or adding something to whatever it is, you
Mhm.
can be more productive than, cleaning your house. So I love that pitch. And then as a business guy, I think recurring revenue,
Yeah.
right? Stacking recurring revenue. I love models like that, and people have poo-pooed these blue collar businesses for long enough. And now that, there's a big surge of people getting into blue collar businesses, applying tech stacks, applying media, applying leverage, applying, debt and equity positions, private equity's moving into it. So, the secret's kind of out. So I love the fact that you've moved into this and and I know from talking to you offline that you are scaling, right? This thing is going up.
Yes.
Um, It's amazing. So I think of, when I just zoom out 10,000 foot view, I think of a cleaning company as recurring revenue, just like pool routes, right? Pool routes are great. Window cleaning. Whatever, extermination. We have an exterminator come and spray for bugs on a regular basis. Love these models. How long have you been in business? And give me up to this moment, give me the wildest story you've had so far in your journey as owner of Company Clean.
Well, I wanted to touch on a couple of things that you pointed out with the blue collar work, right? Because you're totally correct. Because of COVID, remember, we were all deemed essential during COVID. We were the ones still out there working whenever everyone else was shut up. So private equity did notice that, and they're like, these guys never stop. People need them. Just because there's a virus out there, if I don't have heat, people still have to come and service me, right? And so a lot of interest kind of got garnered after that. And yeah, the recurring revenue stack, that's huge. We just build on it every single month. That's my main KPI. It's not how many cleanings that we did. It's how many cleanings do we keep? What's our churn, and what's recurring, right? If those numbers are growing, that's what I'm happy with, not the one-off move in, move outs or deep cleaning or something like that.
Right.
So wildest story, man. Well, I don't even know if it'll show up on my phone or anything. I wanted to show you this one picture. This just came in today. We'll see if it shows up on as a toilet. We just had to clean.
Yeah, that shows up.
That is from today. So there's not a lot of fun, happy stories in house cleaning. There's nice stories in what we do for families, right? A lot of the folks that we service, with charities, with developmental pathways and everything, and we help them out with cleaning at no cost, where they're just we really needed someone to come and help us with this. That's good. That's heartwarming, right? But much of the day to day are getting pictures like that from my team and saying, what do we do here? We need to make sure that we're talking with the customer, setting realistic expectations and saying hey, we're gonna have to adjust the rates because that's not how you sold the cleaning, right? And so we get those. Guns are a big thing. I don't know why people just leave guns sitting out whenever my cleaners are there. I tried to have a talk with one guy about, you can't do that or we're just not gonna work with you anymore. And he got mad at me. He goes, it's just a gun. What's the problem? And I go, you don't know if my cleaners are having a bad day, bud. And you've got a loaded gun sitting there. That's a risk on you too, not just my teams, right? Or maybe you've had a bad day and we're not dusting the way that you want and you come at us. No, we can't do that.
Yeah, I have, we've had crews in houses, when my paint crews are in doing cabinets or they're on an exterior job, but really when they're in the kitchen doing cabinets, we're often juggling, repair guys, flooring guys, countertop folks. And when we were doing a big remodel, there was a project with a big remodel happening, and someone left a stack of cash and a Rolex right there for every crew member, not just mine, but everybody in the house to see that. Yeah, and that's fine. That's incredible trust, but it's obviously foolish. Mm-hmm. And so what we have Company Cam. Company Cam's a great
we use
software. Yeah, I use Company Cam too. So my crew took a picture of it and said, hey, and he sent it to me, and he sent it to Peter, my co-owner. And he said, hey, this guy left a Rolex and a stack of cash here. It makes me uncomfortable. Here's a picture of it. It's time-stamped. And then, we reached out to the owner and we're like, hey, we think your cash and your Rolex is safe with us, but please just put it in a drawer away from, you've got 3 crews in here from 3 different companies. Why do that? That's just a foolish thing. And it would be the same with a gun. Why, just put the gun in a safe, put the gun in your, in your side stand, do something. But leaving guns and cash and Rolexes out when you've got crews in is, one, it's weird, and 2, it's foolish, and 3, it's almost like inviting trouble. It's like you're begging for it.
it's a risk to your business as well, because like there's these other two crews there, right? What
Yeah.
if they steal it? And then now this guy's like, well, which one took it? And now you're battling it out with them. And that's just like, it's not something that you want to have to deal with in your business, right?
That's exactly right. And that's why I was so proud of my crew to notice that that's not normal, right? I mean, out of all the hundreds of jobs we've been at, one guy's left a stack of cash, a pinch of cash and a Rolex. So we asked him to put it away, but yeah, these weird stories pop up all the time. I want to, so I'm big on what I call capital stewardship. And most of the time you think of capital, you think of equity, you think of debt, you think of money, right? But I also like expanding that idea of capital into how you take care of human capital, energetic capital, right? I say bandwidth. I only have a certain amount of bandwidth. So I have mental capital that I'm dealing with. I'm asking everybody I chat with now who's a successful, operator, how are you managing your human capital? Human capital is the biggest challenge. Give me, hey, I need all the help I can get. So help me understand how you manage your human capital.
Well, me personally, again, it is buying back my time, Dan Martell, right? Like making sure that I'm not out there just doing busy work that takes up my mental energy and my physical energy. Secondly, I try to be as productive as possible now. That's not for everyone, right? Like I don't sit there and binge watch shows. That video game piece that I said, like I don't play many games anymore, right? I try to just take everything that I can, funnel it into productive things. So one of the things that I'm about to start, because I just turned 40 last week. So me and our buddy John Foster in our group with Hero 5 Fitness, we are going to start me on a journey, a fitness journey, because I already kind of work out and everything, because that helps keep your mind sharp. But in regards to time savings, working out takes a lot of time, right? 45 minutes, an hour, you got to shower and everything else. Well, John's program, you do these workouts in about 15 minutes. And I've done one before and I couldn't move for the next 2 days. So I know it works, right? And we're going to do this 12-week journey that helps both of us out, right? So I'm going to get fit. And we are going to turn this into a marketing exercise for both me and John. We're going to record content. John's going to get to use it everywhere. And then I'm going to use it on the flip side to say like, hey, professional dads or dads over 40 and everything, because you're saving time, not cleaning your home, you can go and save even more time with John and then go and put that back in your business. And we're just going to keep creating content like that. Use it on LinkedIn mostly, because I think that's the audience that'll get the most out of it. But that's kind of how, just trying to balance that human capital so I can have more time to read and have more time to sit with lovely people like yourself on this and just study podcasts and then go and execute in my business.
Love it. I remember seeing a short from Hormozi, and we're going to get to Hormozi in a second here, but he said something to the effect of once he made a sale. He worked for 45 minutes. He made a sale and he made $3,000 or something, right? So he said, I can make $3,000 an hour. And right there and then he decided to never cook himself a meal again, something to that effect, right? Because if it took him half an hour to cook a meal and half an hour to eat it, and he could make $3,000 an hour, that meal just cost him $1,500.
Yeah.
Right. It's a very reasonable, logical way of analyzing your time. Right. And like you just said, I mean, your time is a form of capital, right? Your bandwidth is a form of capital. Yeah. It's not just your money. It's not just your debt positions. Right. Let's zoom out another level outside of you in particular and tell me how you manage your crews, the humans that are working for you. Mm-hmm. I've been fairly successful managing debt and equity, both for, institutions and high net worth individuals and my stuff. And in real estate, which is a fairly simple business, right? It's hairy, but it's fairly simple. And then I entered, buying little businesses, and I brought an operator on to help me manage that human capital. And managing the human capital simply is more difficult, at least for me, and I need all the help I can get, Ronnie. It's more difficult for me than anything else I've ever managed. It's far more challenging than managing debt. It's far more challenging than, making a pile of money out of a little pile of money with an apartment building or something. How do you manage the humans that are working for you?
Setting expectations is the big thing, right? Like on interviews, first off, making sure that they understand that the way that we work over here, we don't settle for second place. We don't settle for like medium quality or anything. Like we are very reliable. Whenever we say we're going to be there at 9 a.m., I tell them on the interviews, that doesn't mean 9:15 a.m. That doesn't mean 8:30 a.m. It means 9 a.m., right? And just making sure that like whenever they come in, they know that so that they're not just quitting immediately, you know? And then helping, another way of doing it is with like these really bad cleanings is just like talking them off the ledge, and just saying, hey, like I completely understand, like this is unacceptable and we're going to handle it for you. Your job isn't to deal with that. It's to do the cleaning. I'll go manage the customer and everything, reset the expectations there. And we're going to make this right by you. We're going to get you a higher rate and make sure you get that tip. We're going to get you that review because you get a bonus off of every review. And performance pay is a big thing. Like that helps motivate them beyond what they would normally do. And then hanging out with them outside of work. Like one of my team members, he goes, hey, my wife is about to have a birthday next month. Will you go to her party? Yeah, man. Like I'll take the time out. Love to meet the family. Love to meet the kids, right? Because the closer that you guys are, I'm going to work harder for you because I know why you're doing it. Like what is the reason that you need money to put food on the table, right? So I'm going to go out there, I'm going to fight for you, and then you're going to fight for me too, because you know the reasons like that I'm running this business and why I want to help you out.
Yeah, I like all that. I love the performance-based pay. So if people do a better job, they get better pay. I think that's a very reasonable, I think that's a very reasonable position to take, right? And those personal connections matter. They simply we're all human beings. None of us are robots. Maybe there's some people that are more like robots than others, but yes, we're not robots, right? If you treat somebody like a robot, you get what you get.
And not raking them over the coals over everything too. Like, do give them some slack, like, because everyone messes up. Dude, I mess up every day in my business, right?
Yeah.
I am always failing, but I'm failing better every time. Not making the same mistakes is the big thing, though, right? Like, because I learned from my mistakes. You need to be learning from yours. And so, like, whenever something does happen, it's like it's not the end of the world, right?
Yeah.
We're going to help train you up on that. We'll kind of coach you and everything, and just make sure it doesn't happen again. And maybe it was my fault. Again, maybe I was actually the problem here and I didn't clarify something in a manual. I didn't tell you about that. So I just need to always check myself, and people appreciate that so much.
Yeah, from NLP, I'm a student of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And the saying that's been in my mind since I started studying that is there is no failure, only feedback, right? The true failure is just quitting, right? So there's no failure. There's only feedback. I think there's always a case to be made for grace with oneself, grace with your partners, grace with your employees, grace with your clients, grace with your subs, grace with your vendors, grace with your supply, grace, right? Now there's times where you just run out of it,
there has to be consequences at one point, right?
Absolutely. And if it affects the math, the bottom line of the math too severely, then that's the point of no return in terms of grace offerings. But like you said, we're all stumbling and bumbling our way forward from the top down. And I see, and I've talked with and know, incredibly successful people, and they are stumbling and bumbling just like the rest of us, right?
You have to grow, though. Like if you're not failing, you're not growing, right? And again, like if you're taking big swings, I think Mosey's the one that says this, or Bezos, someone, they all say it, right? Is that if you're at least hitting 8 out of 10, you're going to be successful and grow, right? So, but you're going to have those failures, because if you just never swing, you're never going to grow.
Yeah, agreed. We had when I bought the SprayNet franchise, I bought 3 territories. One was an operating territory that shut down. So we bought that up, and then we bought 2 additional territories. I tried to buy as much as I could because I was so bullish on it. And we had a start, man. We had a record-breaking start. We sold more jobs, produced more jobs. Just for a sense, right? The Spray Net's a franchise out of Canada. They're sold out in Canada. You can't buy one of these deals there. The best producing franchise, I think, did 80,000 their first year in the history of the company, the 14 years history of the company.
That ain't feeding a family.
We did $240,000 in our first quarter.
Jeez. Yeah.
And that sounds great, doesn't it? I mean, that right there sounds great. I'll tell you what wasn't great is we also fast forwarded all the mistakes that come with selling that many, producing that many jobs. So our coach said, hey, you guys just fast forwarded a year's worth of mistakes into 3 months. And we suffered, right? Now, those are the problems you want. That is the suffering you want. I say to my partner, we got to choose our suck, right? There's going to be suck in life. We chose that suck. We'll take it, right? If you're not uncomfortable, if it doesn't hurt, there's a very good chance you're not growing. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah. And especially like what you were saying about the problems, you will have problems at every single stage. Every successful Apple has problems. NVIDIA has problems, right? They're just different size and at a different scale. Like you're never going to get out of problems. And it's just reframing how you think about them and just making sure that you're always ready to handle problems. Again, that mental health is really key there.
Yeah, that is it. It's funny you say that because that's what I'm working on. I've been working on for a while, not the reduction of problems, not the absence of problems, but my mental fortitude to handle those problems, whether it's using detachment or, various systems. I instituted a 1-3-1 rule with all my employees.
What's that one?
If they have a problem, they can't just say, hey, I've got a problem. Will you fix it? No, they have to call me and give me the 1-3-1. 1, you state the problem. You give me 3 potential solutions. And then you give me the one solution that you would choose, okay. Right? And that reduced me handling 1,000 problems a day to me handling only a handful a day. And 80-90% of the time, I choose the answer that they chose, right? So anyway, these are the things I instituted with the intention of reducing my mental chaos, with the intention of not reducing my problems, but my ability to handle these problems in a serene, peaceful, graceful way. I've said this before, I need all the help I can get, Ronnie. Give me your mental models. Give me your techniques to handling the stresses of running. You've got a family, you've got businesses, you've got employees, you've got. How are you handling the problems, knowing that they're just going to keep coming?
That's pretty much it, is knowing they're going to keep coming, right? So it's not like I don't worry about things is a big key to it, right? Because like worrying does nothing. It's more, how am I going to take action? How am I going to solve it? Like stuff comes up, and that doesn't mean that it doesn't stress me out at times. I'm just like, oh shit, this sucks. Yeah. But it's just making sure that like you take care of it and just don't worry about things, because like all you're going to do is stress yourself out even more. And if you're worrying about it, you're not taking action to fix it. So again, don't worry about things. But then I also meditate a lot. That's been a key for me, is like once a day I meditate for about 30 minutes, just try to block everything out, relax, and just kind of see what comes to my head. Like I get great ideas during that, but then I feel much more at peace afterwards. And float tanks have been helping with that too. Nice.
Where do you do your float tanks?
Oh God, put me on the spot. Where is that one?
It's in
Denver, obviously, but Float Health, something like that. I can't remember the name. Sucks for them that they're not getting the shout out. But
doing a float tank has been on my list. I've never done it. I have a meditation process. I've always loved exploring consciousness through reading and meditation and you name it. And that has definitely been on my list.
Easy Float.
Easy Float?
Yeah. And it's not a tank, right? So you don't feel that constraint of like the claustrophobia. It's a giant bathtub, but they've sealed the room and everything. So there's no light, there's no sound, yet you don't feel like you're going to like suffocate, or no one's going to let you out of the tank.
Okay, cool. I mean, that's on my list. I've got to try it. So again, I come back to another piece of Hormozi content that he said something to the effect of the only folks who don't have stress in their life are dead. That's the only ones, right? Yeah. Everybody else has some sort of stressors going. You went to Vegas. Mm-hmm. You did an inclusive Hormozi masterclass. Dude, I want to know everything. Tell me, I mean, what did you think? Was it worth it? Is it as good as his content? I love his content. I love his books. I think he's the best, most straightforward business coach I've ever seen, because he doesn't sugarcoat it. It's all very pragmatic. Give me the scoop, man. Should I go? I don't know. You talk. I'll ask questions.
All right. So I went ahead and decided to go because I found Mozi back in December 2023, right? I was coming off of 2 years of not knowing what I was doing in business, right? I was listening to some other podcasts. They were all theory, but I found $100 million offers and leads had just come out. I read both of them on my trip from Denver to Houston. We were driving down, read them. It's like, this stuff is awesome. It's tactical, right? It's none of that. That's what I need. Like, I need to know how to apply these things, not just I need to apply them. So I went from kind of what we were talking about with growth. In 2022, I did about 25K with 10% gross profits. I didn't know what I was doing. In 2023, I did 35K at 20% gross profit, a little better. I got a coach, and then I got Mozi's books. And then in 2024, we did 135,000 at 50% gross profit. We are on track already to do 350,000 at 52%, and we'll likely do 600K this year.
Yes, love it.
That is because of Alex Hormozi and Tommy Mello, both of them. But Tommy Mello, he runs A1 Garage Doors. He was like 100K in debt like 10 years ago, and his garage door business, that's all it is garage doors. It was just valued at $1 billion.
Wow. So, okay. I'm not familiar with Tommy Mello.
I'll link you.
Okay, cool.
But anyhow, Mozi. So the workshop, I found out it was 5K. And I was like, man, I got so much stuff from him. I can go there. And if I get nothing out of it, it's just paying him back, right? Because he has such great content. Mm-hmm. And so I get there, and like, how Mozi always talks about A players? Well, that's what an A player actually looks like, is his whole team. I don't remember the last names there, but Dan, like it was Frank, Ed, Sammy, they were all like part of like head of sales, head of recruiting. Like Ed is like Mozi's right-hand man, it seems. And they just all know exactly what they're talking about. They have fantastic, like they're hyper, they're motivated, and like they get you going. Like you at the end of the day, you're like, I cannot wait to start applying all of this. So you get there, you get a workbook, and then it is 10 hours straight of content of working through like, here's how you should do your recruiting. Here's how you do hiring. Here's how you do sales. Here's how you do pricing. Here's how you do offers. And it's just go, writing all that down. There's breaks in between, a little bit of networking, some food and everything. But you better be drinking the coffee that they serve, because you're going to need it to stay focused that whole time. And then afterwards, you get to, depending on like, they do have other offers, they do have upsells. And so I got to meet Mozi afterwards on the first day. And one of your questions to me was, what would you change in your business after going to the workshop, right?
Yeah.
Well, Hormozi said, do not change a thing in my business. Because that same pitch that I gave you about the revenue growth, I told him, he goes, don't do anything. He goes, do more of what you're doing, but do not change anything in your business. And I thought that was very interesting. Because like he had been talking to other folks about like, here's what you should do, here's what you should change, do this, do that, etc. But he was like, based off of what you're saying, keep it the way that it is. Just keep advertising, keep marketing, keep getting good people, hiring, and just keep moving forward.
That's amazing. It's funny you say nothing, because I just watched a 30-minute class that he did. And he said something to the effect of when you make a major change in a system, right? Whether it's a sales system or production system, whatever it is, that you should expect to lose 20% efficiency, right? You should actually expect to take a step back when you do any significant change in your protocols, in your systems. And so you better make sure that change has a chance to yield you 30, 40, 50% more efficient, more leads, more conversion, more, because built into the change itself almost always reduces the efficiency of your activity by at least 20%. So if you're making these major changes to get 5% more efficient, right? Well, then it doesn't make a lick of sense. And I thought that was really good. It sure is easy to read a book or go to a seminar and go, okay, here's the 30 things I need to do to change my life, right? 30 things, right? How about one, maybe, So tell me, did he say do nothing to everybody, or did he say do nothing, change nothing to you?
For me specifically, like I didn't hear for the 79 other business owners that were there. Like we were in a little circle, right? So I heard maybe 5, 10 other people. But on day 2, you do roundtables, right? So you get to sit with Ed, you get to sit with, again, Frank, and like just kind of pepper them with questions, just boom, boom, boom. The sessions are like 30 minutes. So you go through about 8 different people. And a lot of the people there, they would be like, okay, well, like I do dog walking, right? And now I want to get into grooming, and then I want to get into training. They'll be like, hey, wait, what makes money in your business right now? Well, the dog walking. And they're like, how much did the grooming do? Like 10%. Well, why do you want to do that? They're like, do the dog walking. It makes you your money. Keep doing that. Do more of it. Do it better. Do not go new stuff. And that was like the big theme throughout just the entire day is more, better, new is what they call it. Like if you're advertising and you haven't saturated your channel, right? Like, can you still get more Google PPC? Okay, then keep going Google. Like if you're under 1 million on that channel, keep going with that channel. Okay, so say you've saturated that channel. Now you do better. Go back to your content, go back to your lead magnets, your landing pages, get those more dialed in, get better efficiencies. And after you've exhausted all of your channels, you've taken all of your market share, then think about something new.
Love it. A friend of mine, Derek Marlin, who owns Elevation Investments, they're a flipping company, right? And they flip for institutions. They flip from themselves. They teach people how to flip. He said that exact same quote, more, better, new, right? More of what you're doing that works. Whatever you're doing that works, make it better. But you have to max out more and better before you're allowed to go to new.
Yep.
And I'll openly admit I have a shiny object problem, right?
Yeah.
I'm actively saying no to as much as I can, as often as I can, so I can say yes to the most important, the most essential endeavors. I just read a book on essentialism, and I am, self-admittedly, I got a shiny object addiction, a problem. I'm getting better at saying no, and I'm getting better at more and better. And I've removed no new deals this year, right? No new nothing this year. I'm stabilizing what I'm stabilizing. I'm growing what I'm growing. I'm making better what I've got. I'm saying no to everything else. And it's a challenge, and I have to celebrate with my partner, with my wife, hey, somebody called me about this deal. I said no, hey, somebody called me about this flip. I said no. Somebody called me about this, acquisition. I said no. So thank you for reiterating that. And, as my friend, you might have to whisper in my ear every time you see me, more, better, nothing new.
Well, I mean, there's a stat, I don't remember what it is offhand, but like most entrepreneurs have ADHD. So it gets very difficult to stay on task. And that's been one of my biggest things over the last 2 years is just learning to focus. Cause all right, so like I do house cleaning services. I have so many people come up to me at these networking events. Hey man, when are you going to do commercial? No, no. I am going to do residential only until I nail it. Within the market that I do here in South Denver, there's like 300,000 homes. I believe about 10% of those can afford and want my services. So that's 30,000, right? I have like 75 current recurring customers. Look at how much market share there is. I know
Yeah.
cleaning companies here in Denver doing 5 million plus. So, and they only do homes, they only do residential. So why would I start trying to go for all of this other stuff whenever I see the opportunity? I see how bad all of these other cleaners are, and I can come in and I can crush it.
I love it, man. I love that message. It's like we're talking at the right time, because I need to be reminded of this from everybody I know. So thank you. Are you building this to sell? Are you building this for an exit? What's your 3, 5, 7, 10-year trajectory here?
Yeah, so I do. It is like that book, right? Built to sell. But whether or not I do sell, I don't actually have plans or know what I'm going to do there yet. You build the business to be able to sell. So you have the systems in place. It runs without you. That was a big thing at the Hormozi workshop, actually, is they ask you 2 questions. They go, who here wants to sell? And like everyone's kind of like a couple of people. And they're like, who wants to keep their business? And even then, everyone's kind of like, I don't know. And they go, with what we're going to go through over the next 2 days, even if you do want to sell, by the end of it, you're probably going to want to keep up your business, because Hormozi has this content that he did there, and I've seen it on YouTube, to where he likens it to your home when you're getting ready to sell. You know, your home looks like shit while you live in it. I don't want to put it that way necessarily. Like your home is just kind of like adequate because you live there every day. You're fine with it. But then you go to put it on the market, and the realtor's like, hey, you need new flooring. Landscaping really helps a home sell, so let's go do that. And then you kind of do all the other repairs, so you're not getting hit on the inspection. And by the end of it, you're like, hey, I like living here. You know, it looks great. And that's what they do with your business, is they do those same kind of value adds within the business, making sure that it's perfect by the time that you go to sell. And then by the time that you go to sell, you're like, I think I'm just actually going to keep it.
Yeah, I agree. You want to build that, enterprise value, right? You don't want it to be called Ronnie's Cleaning Company, right? It's company clean. So anybody could run company clean, right? And you remove yourself eventually to a 5, 10, 15-hour work week, and the thing hums. That is the goal, right? Mm-hmm. And so building it to sell with just the option to sell should be everybody's goal, whether you're going to sell it or not, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm 100% with that. And that I entered, buying businesses like I modeled it from doing apartment flips, right? Mm-hmm. Which is what I've done. Buying, holding apartments, buying and selling apartments. Sometimes the arc of the deal was a year. Sometimes it was 3 years. Sometimes it's 5 years. And some I still own. So I look at a business like a building. And it just, for whatever reason, it gives me more peace, right? I'm building the foundation. I'm building the levels. I'm building the management. I'm building the vendor pool. I'm building the sub pool. And it's made my life, it made this adventure in buying these companies more palatable, because I can frame it in a way that makes sense, something that I've been doing for 20 years. Because me entering the blue collar space and buying these companies is relatively new to me. And frankly, I've been humbled. I came in arrogant, right? Hubris. I thought I'm hot shit. I can do this. Look at my spreadsheet. It totally models. I've got the, macroeconomic knowledge that this is all going to work. And, blue collar won't be replaced by AI and yada, yada, yada. And then you get in the thick of it and you're like, oh, the crew just spilled 5 gallons of paint down somebody's driveway, right? Yeah. Oh, this happened. And I've never been more humbled. Like, it is hard to run a painting business. It is hard to run a cleaning company. It's hard to run a plumbing, you name it. It's not easy.
Because it's all labor, and like that keeps your margins, or it can keep your margins low. Ed over at the workshop, he gave me a challenge to get to 80% margins. We'll see. I've got a lot of ideas on how I'm going to do that, but that'll be interesting if I can do that, because 80% is unheard of in this space, right?
Okay. You want to share any of those techniques, or you want to surprise us for the next pod?
Yeah, let's go for a surprise, because I'm still trying to work on some of these ideas and everything. But I think a big part of it is just my avatar that I'm trying to really switch to, which is the more affluent communities.
Yeah.
Like, here's one that this lady at the workshop actually gave me an idea. And she came up to me afterwards and she goes, "Hey, do you have like a package or anything to where it's like, I just don't have to do literally anything?" She's like, "Because I always have to clean up before my cleaners get there. My kids have toys everywhere. I have papers all over the place." And she goes, "I don't have time to even do that." She's like, "Do you have that package?" And I was like, "No." She goes, "Well, I would pay for it." She goes, "I don't care what your number is, but I would pay for it." And I thought about that and I was like, if I get people like this, then that's where those 80% margins can come in.
Well, and that is where I'm glad you brought that up, because we've hit that too, where we say, if we're doing a cabinet job, we're refinishing somebody's cabinets. Well, to refinish somebody's cabinets, you're going to have to clean up your kitchen. You're going to get all the stuff out of the kitchen. You got to take all the stuff out of the shelves. And it's a great time to clean the cabinets, right? And some folks don't at all want to do anything, right? They're too busy. They're attorneys, they're doctors. They are smart enough to know that them working on their main thing is most important, and they're losing money if they clean out their kitchen cabinets, right? So we started cleaning. We started removing everything, putting it in boxes, cleaning kitchen cabinets, right? Well, now I'm paying my crews to do all that, and it doesn't make sense for our model. This is where we want to partner with Company Clean and have you guys come in and clean the cabinets, remove and clean the cabinets. And then that's also an introduction to these great clients who are probably your avatar, because the folks that don't want to take their dishes out of the cabinets are the same folks who don't want to pick up, the doggy toys before the cleaning crew gets there, right? So there's perfect synergy between SprayNet and Company Clean right there. I do appreciate the idea of finding your avatar and aiming at your avatar, aiming at pleasing and serving your avatar. The more we do that, the easier life is, the more great clients we get, the more we stray. Oh, let's make this one fit. Oh, let's bend in this weird direction to make this project fit. The more we suffer, right?
Yes. And on that point about like serving the correct avatar and everything, is like, I owe it to my customers to actually charge as much as I can, because that gets me better people, better uniforms, better equipment, better training processes, and I deliver the best service that we can. If I'm not making any money, I can't do that, and I can't appropriately serve the affluent community that I'm going for.
Yeah, that's right. I just went to a class held by Derek Marlin in Elevations Investments, and they're essentially GCing all their deals, right? They're the general contractors of all their deals. And the lead project manager over there, Travis, he's very knowledgeable, very good at what he does. He said that right there. He's like, "Hey, I don't want to beat up my subs. I need them to make money, because if they don't make money, they won't be available next time I need them to do something for me." Oh yeah, and we do X amount of flips all at once. And so if their subs aren't making any money, they're not going to come back. And then you got to go hunting for the next vendor, your next subcontractor, to do the work. So you absolutely want the people that are working for you to win, so they stick around, so you win together.
Yeah, like that toilet I showed you earlier, like if I didn't pay the way that I do and the way that I handle people, they would have just walked off the job site. And I did have that problem whenever I first started, because I wasn't paying correct rates, because my like what I was charging customers was just ridiculously cheap. So I couldn't pay them correctly, and they would either just not show up or just leave the job. And that is super embarrassing. That can completely damage your reputation. So it's kind of on you to make sure you're charging right, so that doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, I've heard so many horror stories of bad experiences with contractors, and whether it's cleaning or paint or you name it, drywall, whatever, the consumer, the client, has some responsibility there. And if they are just going and getting the cheapest possible contractor they can find, not vetting them, not checking references, not confirming they're insured, not, right? And then it goes bad. Well, hey, that's on you, their client, customer. I mean, what do you expect? You know what I tell my kids, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. Well, listen, if you're going, people say, well, we could go down to Home Depot and just get some painters. They're just sitting around waiting for work. Good luck with that. Right.
I love that because I had that conversation just yesterday with a client or a potential client. I don't think they're going to go with us either way, but that's how it came out. Was like, she goes, well, I expected $200 for this cleaning and we were at $400 coming in. And she goes, so we're just going to hire an independent cleaner. And I go, oh, are you a house cleaning business now? And she's like, what do you mean? And I go, well, you're going to have to interview all these people to make sure that like they're going to do a good job. I was like, I have to hire 100 people to find someone I would even consider hiring, let alone actually hiring them. Then you got to go and check their insurance. And then you got to do background checks on them. Are you going to ask them whenever they come in? Are they changing out their filters on their vacuums? Are they using different mop heads? Are they using the same rags that they did in the bathroom in your kitchen? Are you going to do all that? Are you going to verify that? I was like, you have antiques over here. Okay, cool. Maybe that person is insured, but whenever they ruin that piano, you think they're going to call you back? No. So
right.
I was like, we'll send you the quotes and everything, and you can go do this. And if you want like real professionals, she'll give us a call back.
Yeah, that's a great answer. That is a great answer. Yeah, if you're racing to the bottom, if you're hiring somebody to do work for you, whether it's a mechanic or a cleaner or a painter or whatever, and you're racing to the absolute cheapest and it goes sour, you are responsible. You've got to accept some responsibility for that, right? What's the saying? Good work ain't cheap and cheap work ain't good.
Yeah. And what is it? Everyone wants it like fast, great quality with like reliability and everything. And it's like, you can only have like two. Oh, and cheap. That's it.
Yeah.
Fast, good, cheap. And it's like, you can only get 2 out of the 3. And that's it.
That's right. That's a great triangle of contractor truth, right?
And I try to tell people like at the end, whenever they do bulk at quotes, I just straight up ask them, I go, hey, do you think I could actually deliver my reliability, my quality, consistency, speed, great people at a low price? Like if I gave you a low price, would you actually believe that I can do those things? And they're like, no. It's like, exactly. Like it does come with a certain rate.
Yeah, that's a great reframe. Have you ever heard of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming?
Mm-mm.
It's how you program your neurology with your words, right? You can resolve unresolved negative emotions with it. You can learn to be a better communicator with it. Tony Robbins is probably the most famous practitioner of NLP. A big part of NLP is simply how you frame things, right? How you frame things in your mind, how you create the frame to whoever you're speaking with, how you use your language to program this, right? This life, the life that's inside of you, how you connect with people. And so what you just did was a perfect reframe.
Well, thanks. I mean, I didn't come up with it. I listen to smart people, and so I'm going to go 2 things on that. Like I learned a lot of that from a podcast called Waste No Day. It's a home services podcast where it's all about handling objections. Fantastic. It's Brian Burton and Nate Minute. I'll send you that as well.
Please.
But that's the thing, man. Like whenever it comes to business is you don't have to be the inventor. You don't have to go out and like reinvent the wheel or come up with all these new ideas and processes. With the internet, with podcasts, with books, it's all out there. And all you have to do is take action. Like what Tommy Mello always says is like leaders are readers, right? And so if you are out there reading, doing self-development, which I think is a huge piece. Like if you as a leader in your business, if you're not working on yourself, probably more than you're even working on your business, you're not going to succeed. And that's been my favorite part of becoming an entrepreneur is just how much better I am than even a day ago, but definitely a year ago, 2 years ago. Developed so much. My speaking is better. I'm more confident. I can reframe problems like we just talked about. And that's such a integral part of business. And even if company clean goes under, like Mosey says, I take all those skills to the next thing.
Yeah, I love it. That's the way I feel. If a deal goes bad, guess what I'm going to do? Another one. But I'm going to be wiser, smarter, tougher. If that one goes bad, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do another one. And I'm going to be wiser, smarter, tougher. And I'm just going to keep doing it. That is it. You only fail if you quit. Yep. Everything else is feedback.
Yeah. It's like, you can only lose when you sell, right?
That's right. That's right. Here's another thing to consider that you kind of inspired me to think of is all the information is out there, right? And it's being delivered more and more efficiently through AI. And so another thing that's essential is courage. You just have to have the courage to act. I love the saying, a wise dude once said to me, nature loves courage, right? It takes courage to start something. It takes courage to get, smashed and get back up and try again. The information is readily available. You can find all the necessary information to thrive, to execute, to just do your thing, but you have to have the courage to do it. Mm-hmm. And it's not a one-time dose of courage. It's courage every single day. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and that's what really got my respect for Mosey, and to keep listening to him is like one of the first podcasts that I had listened to. He's like, you're going to fail, you're going to suck, and you're going to suck for a long time. But if you just keep doing it and you keep getting back up, you will get better and you will succeed. And I just really, that's kind of earlier when you were talking about the mental mindsets and everything, just keeping that thought in my head of just keep pushing forward, one step ahead, and never stop.
Yeah. We set values in our companies, and we always have 5 values, because if you have 20 values, you have no values, yeah. Right? You can't say I have all the values. No, we have 5, right? And the number one, well, we have them in no particular order, but on our board we use the term Kaizen. So Kaizen came from, are you familiar with Kaizen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just the regular improvement from everybody on the team. And everybody on the team has the right to stop production and say, something's wrong, let's fix this. And so we had a lead painter that we had to let go. And the biggest red flag, we should have let him go right when he said this, but it was a big, big red flag. We've been working together for 3 months. And we have these regular meetings. We have our values articulated. We go around and we talk about what we've learned. I say, what have I learned as the CEO? What has Peter learned as the head of production? What has every team member learned? And we document what they learn, right? Do they go from taping to masking to priming to painting? And as they inch their way up, they make more money, they get more responsibility, they have more freedom. And our lead painter said, I've learned nothing since I've been here.
And how long had he been there?
He'd been there 3 months.
Okay.
And I had learned 1,000 things, right? Most of them the hard way, most of them what not to do, but I'd learned at least 1,000 things. He had learned nothing. And it was just such a red flag to see somebody who wasn't learning, and he was the lead painter, and he wanted to be the team lead. And that's just not going to happen if you're not constantly learning. So,
and he's not training the people under him, because if he's not learning, then those people aren't learning.
That's right. That's exactly right. And what you might be learning is how to train the next guy more efficiently, how to be more supportive. How you deliver the information to someone you're trying to help build skills. Are you getting better at that? Everybody has room to improve, always, till the day you die. And that's one of our values. You have to get on that Kaizen train. And so we think of it this way. You have to be a good value fit, and then we'll find the right seat for you. But without the value fit, it doesn't matter, right? And the example we use is, hey, let's say you're a sales guy and you just slay, right? You got a 99.9% closing ratio and you're just the man, right? But you're a drunk jerk who shows up late and doesn't offer respect and isn't constantly improving and isn't good at role model and doesn't lift people up and doesn't have and blames others, yada, yada, yada. I don't care how well you close, you're out because you're not in alignment with our values. And so the reason we have values, well, what Peter said, and he had this from his last company, values are something you're willing to lose friends and money over.
Yeah.
He has these little one-liners like that really move me. That was a big one. Values are something you're willing to lose friends and money over. That's a real value.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because you can't say, oh, I've got this value, and then it's broken, and oh, it's cool. I'll just set that value on the side to make a few bucks, So,
yeah. Or not holding others in your company accountable to that, right?
Right. That's right. Another thing Peter taught me is we have to repeat our values on a regular basis. And so we set a goal of articulating our values at least 7 times a month.
And how do you, is that like through like team meetings, or is that like through emails, or is that multiple channels? Is kind of
multiple channels, right? And we ask ourselves, okay, did we say that when we entered? Did we articulate these values when this problem came up? Did we articulate the values when we got on a job site? Did we articulate our values in our last team meeting, right? Are the values easily accessible to the team when they're going through stuff, right? Because we document everything. We are over communicating. We opt to be over communicators. And if we haven't, because they'll forget, if you tell them once, they won't remember. So and we're still trying to find creative ways to articulate these, and we're not always getting it in 7 times. It's essentially trying to get it in at least more than once a week, right? Articulate your values more than once a week.
And in addition to articulating, are you celebrating them? Like when someone does it, do you bring that to everyone's attention?
Absolutely. When that guy made the right company cam post, takes a picture of the problem, notifies me, notifies Peter, notifies the homeowner, like we pumped that guy up. That was an amazing decision, right? We love that stuff. Yeah, that is, you're absolutely right. And now that you say that, I should do it more. I should celebrate those things more.
Because even if you think you're doing it too much, I can guarantee the employees don't see that. They're happy to hear that all the time, every time.
Yeah, that's great advice. Ronnie, this has been fun, man. I like talking to you. Thanks for joining me. I always end these by asking everybody what they're grateful for. So Ronnie, what you got, buddy? What are you grateful for?
Well, I have a ton of stuff that I could talk about, but you've seen me at BNI, and I might even do it here. Just I get choked up over my kids, love my kids, very thankful for them, glad that they're happy and healthy. And like whenever I come in and like Stricker, my oldest, whenever he sees me, how he just lights up, hugs me and everything. So like grateful for him. And then that goes into my wife as well, because it shows that like she's done very well at raising kids too, right? Because it's not just like me who does it, obviously, and just a good family unit. Like again, both of my kids are adopted, and it was just something that I had always wanted to do. Like if I was going to have kids, they were going to be adopted. I didn't ever care for biological kids. So being able to have the resources to do that, because adoption's a lot,
Yeah.
Being able to do that and then have the end result work out, that they are healthy, that they're just great kids, very lit up, very just always wanting to play. And yeah, like right after this, we're going to go to somewhere in like a playground and everything and just have a good time for a few hours, to where, again, like I want to express this to all business owners, is don't forget about the family aspect. Like you were asking about time management and everything earlier. You got to be able to fit that in every day. I try to do 2 hours a day of playing with my kid.
Love it, man. Talk about something super special to be grateful for. We'll leave it at that. I'll tell you, I'm grateful for not only my family and the house we've built and the home we've built. I'm grateful for all these people I get to know in the business world. So it's really good to get to know you. And I'm excited to see you do your thing. I'm excited to see Company Clean grow. And you just see everybody's life blossom, not only yours, but your families, your employees. I really like what you're doing, man. I appreciate you spending an hour with me. It's an honor. I'm privileged, and let's do it again.
Yeah, thanks for again that force of nature comment. I've been thinking about that over the last couple of days. I really liked that one. And if you want to do a sit down just privately about like the Mosey stuff, the workshop and everything, yeah, let's do it. And then lastly, to end on that, yes, do the workshop. Guarantee it.
Awesome. I will. Thanks, Ronnie. I appreciate you.
Take care, bud. Bye.
Bye.